spiritually and scientifically, and they're looking for like information and stuff like that. And it's not really going the way they want. But then all of a sudden, the new Supreme shows himself in a way that the original Supreme wouldn't have. In a very prideful way, in a very ambitious way, in a way where it's like, oh, I am the Supreme. You are less than me. I'm going to create this obelisk or spire, and it's going to link energy directly from me to you. So you may use it any way that you see fit. And this energy can be used to create new technology, like further advancements, much, much quicker than they could have before without it. And it's totally like studies it. So you have all these different these factions or all these different species all like coherent now, and they don't know each other, they don't trust each other, and they have something called a spire that grants them energy, so they're going to like obviously fight over it to survive. And that's essentially the whole game. That's what the game is about.
So the 7 factions, are they competing with each other for the power?
For the power. They're trying to survive in this new dynamic.
Now you were going to show us how detailed your character could be.
So I don't have like much. I'll show you some art that I've done.
I mean, let's talk about what would the experience of an individual might be if they were playing. You got dice.
Yeah,
they would have a character sheet in front of them.
Right, you'll have a character like character card. You'll have like your information on like your health and some other stats. Energy points is kind of a huge thing here. So you'll have like maybe like 6 energy points for like some characters, and you'll use those up accordingly to like specific moves. Like moving a space would cost like 1 energy point. Doing a specific move like ability would cost like X amount of energy points, and so on and so forth like that. Each unit has that as well. So while you're using your units and stuff like that, you would have to build buildings to produce those units. The buildings then have upgrades for that specific unit, and you go further along.
That sounds like real-time strategy.
It's very close, and that's what I was really trying to mimic here. I was a very strong fan of StarCraft growing up.
Right.
I grew up with that game.
Right.
And I love real-time strategy. The strategy games are so much fun, especially when you can come up with like a really
I played a lot of them.
A really interesting strategy, and you just totally throw your opponent off, and you're just like, and then like, whoa, I did not even see that coming, and that's such
it
a
stresses me out
though,
because I'm like, ah!
Right, yeah, it's like the adrenaline's there, the tension's there, the excitement. You're just like, I'm so close, and then when you get it, it's like the biggest relief, and it's amazing.
So do you have like the dexterity and intelligence and
actually,
wisdom, all that stuff like D&D
some
did?
stats. I mean, they're a little bit more specific to my game. They're not so in depth as like D&D is. Like D&D goes super in depth.
Right.
Like I can go really in depth with this game, but like, at the same time, you need to micromanage your units, your buildings, and your economy. So it's like the more in depth I go into this, the more things you have to keep track of, and the more time.
Exactly.
So it's like it's a little bit of a trade-off.
Yeah, that was one of the things with D&D was a good DM was able to take the rules and be a little loose with them depending on what kind of people he was working with and who was doing what, and he didn't have to be rigid about
specifically by the book. And just like a lot of the time you play what's comfortable, and you play with like what's fun, and you play what works. And it's
if somebody comes up with a great idea, then you just go,
it's like,
it worked.
Yeah, let's do it. For like the stats that I have health points, and these points signify your life. When your HP drops to 0, your heroes respawn. And so for any other unit, they would normally die, but your heroes don't permanently die; they just respawn, and they have like a respawn time according to how many deaths that they have. So like they die the first time, it takes 2 turns for them to respawn. Second time takes 5 turns. 7, 10, 12, 15.
That's deep.
Yeah. So
if you die too many times, then you're out for a very long time.
And that can drastically change the game, and that can totally help your opponent win.
That's nice to not have to lose your character when he dies.
Yeah, and it'll be good because it's like it's not meant to punish you for dying, but at the same time it's meant to say like, hey, you just died. You have a respawn cooldown time. Be careful next time, because you die too many times, it's going to give your opponent enough time to actually make a difference.
League of Legends does that.
Exactly. Yeah. And most MOBAs do that. So to keep regulating how many players are in, and like sacrifices and penalties for dying or like for feeding, essentially.
Right.
Stuff like that. Next that we have on the list would be like energy points. Just, like one movement would be 1 energy point, and attacks, or like specifically how many attacks you're doing would be like 1 energy point, like, etc. like that. Attack damage determines how much physical damage you deal to your opponent. Well, then you have like spell damage, which determines how much spell damage or like magical damage you deal. You also have armor, which is your first line of defense against like attack damage, and then you also have your magic resist would be like your first defense against magic, and then you also have your energy shield, which is kind of like an encompass over both of those things.
All right.
So it goes through your energy shield first, and then either if it's AD or like attack damage, then it goes through your armor, and if it's magic, then it goes through your magic resist.
We're running a little long. Let's show off some of your artwork.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And then we'll
Tell
wrap
us
it up.
the name of your game again.
It's called Starscape.
Starscape.
And it's, it will eventually, in the coming year or so, see its face on Kickstarter.
Nice.
Yes.
Kickstarter's a lot of
see
fun.
So look for him on Kickstarter in the future, and we'll plug that in the future as well.
Absolutely.
He promised me that I get to try this game out with him.
Yeah, you'll be one of the first people to try it out.
which I'm really excited about.
Count me in.
Yeah, man. I'll need them more the merrier.
Yeah.
Okay. This is definitely for the same game. Just 3 different scenes.
Let's
Show
just
it
give
off.
them a scene. Yeah. Let's just do it. Can you see it?
Right there, you can see a little bit of his original art style.
These are examples of the cards.
Yeah,
Are these
different
character cards.
These would be just more so like scenes, character cards in the sense of displaying like it's like a situation or
This
scenario.
is what happens to you.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Cool.
So for this, like for example, like these weren't necessarily for specific cards, but I used like the card size as more of like a frame to kind of convey the scene. And so like the first one is the Isles of Luancara, and so
Okay.
these isles are home to, or like I guess like the best way to describe it is that imagine islands floating in space among stars. So like the stars would be like the sea, basically.
Right.
So like the way that they would travel from island to island would be like on like kind of like a steampunk ship. So think like Treasure Planet,
Right.
stuff like that. And so like
How
yeah,
many?
like,
How
love
many
that.
circumstances? I mean, how many of these things can you describe this way?
It's just it's so incredible because like this is the
He's
reason why
not
I
only
took,
creating worlds, he's creating like universes, like
Yeah.
different dimensions.
Like, this is-
and
He's just talking about a single card in a single place, and he's got all this information in his head
Dude,
about
it's
this.
6 years, man. I've spent 6 years trying to come like okay. The first 3 years was coming up with like a working system, a working game that I actually felt like would be so much fun to play with like multiple players and stuff like that. And so that like that was the first 3 years. The next 3 was designing the world, and that was actually probably the hardest because I really wanted something that I was proud of. I really wanted something that that was interesting, that was beautiful, that was that had a form of mysticism there. It was like there's like that spiritual at the same time it was fantasy, and at the same time there was like the science fiction, and like the crossing and like the mixing of that was just so much fun. And so it's like you have like in these universes you have floating islands, you have floating land masses, and like the way I'm building the board for the game is a 20 by 20 piece board, and each board is going to be each piece is going to be like a 1 inch or like 2 by 2 inch, and there's going to be a piece that you can interchange, and that's why the game board is going to be an ever-changing board because the game is played with 3 players, 2 opposing players, and then there's going to be 1 god player.
That's cool.
The god player essentially changed the board 3 times in an entire match. So like say like you have all your pieces already set up, they're ready to engage, you're ready to win the game,
And then-
bam, moves all the
I'm telling
all
you,
the boards around.
It's absolutely fascinating.
It's-
This game sounds like a lot of fun. To
Yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait.
me. And, he's obviously done a tremendous amount of work on Andrew Ninen.
Look him up on Facebook. Look for that Kickstarter here in the next year.
Say like a year and a half maybe.
Subscribe to Jacob Wolf on the YouTube.
Yeah,
Like us,
like our
share us.
video, share the video, check us out, add us on Facebook. We'd love to meet you and talk with you about your art and your life. All right, we love you. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.